Yes, good evening and welcome back to the Football Tribe YouTube channel. Robert Kesakos is the usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back on this beautiful Sunday night slash evening, depending on the time zone from which you are joining us from. You will indulge me, guys, today. I'm not feeling well, like I told you. For those of you that were part of us yesterday, that I do have a cold, and it looks like cough has added itself to the mix this late evening. It sort of started during that Arsenal game versus Newcastle. So please indulge me as we go for this broadcast. Okay, I mean, plenty for us to discuss. A bit of some maybe surprising results, in my opinion, based on what I've seen throughout Super Sunday. But some, to be honest, were to be expected. Although, yeah, it can always be either way. Anyways, indulge me as you know. Oh, Jesus Christ. Indulge me on this one. Anyways, it's a pleasure to be back. Hope every single one of you is doing well. Allow me to have our audience tested before we drag it on any further, just to be sure that everything is in check for us to get this conversation underway. Looks like we are good. Looks like we are good on that front. But yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I hope you've had a wonderful weekend, a wonderful Sunday, wonderful Saturday. Yesterday we had our broadcast. It came very, very late, deep in the night. For those of you that managed to catch it, thank you. Plan Wits was part of it. LFC was part of it. Despite coming on with that disappointment following Liverpool's defeat against Crystal Palace, and yeah, and a couple of other persons who liked the broadcast but never managed to, send in a comment. For the people that do watch our broadcast much later after they've ended, we do not take your sort of love and support for granted. We do appreciate you a great deal. So yeah, thank you for always sparing the moment to be with us. Like I said, you please indulge me. Given my current health situation, I'm trying to do everything that I can to balance it out, to keep the conversation going while I do everything it takes to get back in good health. That's at least the objective. Anyways, welcome back from the Super Sunday action. There's only one place to start indeed, if we are being honest, because Arsenal had to leave it late against the stubborn Newcastle when they won it by 2-1. Those goals coming in the 84th minute by a second half substitute and another by a defender, in what turned out to be a game of set piece play. Not by the definition of it, but by the nature of what impacted the results, because all the three goals that were scored across the game came from set pieces. And yeah, it was beautiful to watch. Thank you, the Yellow Duck. He managed to join us the other day, I think, and he was telling us about the floods that are ongoing there. But we hope everything is okay with you now. Excuse me. So, beautiful game of football, a beautiful contest, one that you expected. It was physical. It is always physical. Mikel Arteta has once described it as the most physical team he's ever played against, and it's never going to change. When you have players like Dan Ban, when you have players like Jolinton, Bruno Guimaraes, excuse me, when you have those kinds of players, Steven Botman, Malik Theo, Tino Livramento, it's bound to be that. It's bound to be that, and it did not disappoint. And I think Arsenal came into this game very well knowing that. Seeing the starting lineups come out, I was a bit taken aback by the inclusion of Christian Mosquera, not because I doubted his abilities, but I did question whether he was well prepared for the kind of contest he was going into, a very, very physical kind of contest. And it was no surprise for me particularly that he did struggle in that first half. And uh, instinctively, Mikel Arteta saw it pretty much like many of us had seen it, and he made a change at halftime, introducing William Saliba to partner his renowned partner, Gabriel Magalhaes. But Arsenal were dominant, at least for the first 36 minutes of the game, and while against the run of play, it was Newcastle that found the back of the net through Nick Voltmada in the 34th minute. Short corner is taken. First of all, the manner in which they concede the corner is an odd one. Christian Mosquera attempts a back pass quite quite from distance away from his goal, and he sort of flashes that ball into a corner kick. The corner is started short, I think, by Sandro Tonali. I do not particularly remember who he played in. He gets past the ball back, they float it in. Nick Voltmada gives Gabriel Magalhaes a slight push as he attempts to go for the ball, and then by the time the ball reaches Nick Voltmada, he's up in open space, not marked, heads that ball beyond the reach of David Raya, and on we march, and it was 1-0. Again, like I said, the goal did come against the run of play. If you are looking at things, you looked at it and thought to yourself, how many times have we seen this kind of thing where Arsenal come to Newcastle, dominate play, and it's them that concede? The game was as physical as you would expect it. Dan Burn and Jolinton, and as well as Bruno Guimaraes, were doing everything it takes to clip those Arsenal players, to knock them, things like that. Even Jamal Lascelles, when he did come on, he didn't do anything short of what was already ongoing on the pitch. So yeah, then it sort of got a bit emotional in the immediate aftermath of that goal by Nick Voltmada. Gabriel Magalhaes getting, trying to pick a bone with Voltmada on and off the ball incident, which I thought if he did not control his emotions, it could have, caused him problems. It could have caused him problems. But Arsenal are really, really dominant in terms of their play. When you look at the statistics from the game, they had an overall 64% ball possession compared to Newcastle's 36%. XG, in terms of expected goals, Newcastle had a 0.4, while Arsenal had a 2.05. Total shots on goal, Arsenal attempted 20, while Newcastle only had 8. 3 were on target for Newcastle, while Arsenal had as many as 7. One big chance created for each. 12 corner kicks for Arsenal compared to Newcastle's is 7, and things like that. While all those pieces did matter in the course of the game, Arsenal, I thought, were really, really dominant. They remained, excuse me, they remained extremely dominant in the game. They were very, very imposing. The best opportunities fell to them through Ebeleche Eze on 2 different occasions, actually on 3 different occasions. He forced Nick Pope into 2 brilliant saves. Then on another occasion, his attempt was well blocked by that Newcastle defense. They put in a couple of good blocks. Then on another attempt, Alejandro Trossard hit the upright. Then you had another attempt by Bukayo Saka, which was saved by Nick Pope, who, in my opinion, had Arsenal not won, could have easily walked away with that sort of man of the match kind of accolade. So Ebeleche Eze had a very, very good, brilliant performance in that first half. In the second half, he did not sort of have the similar impact like he had in the first half. Nonetheless, it was still a good performance for him overall. So there was a lot really, really to enjoy. Then when you look at, again, Newcastle looked threatening on the counter or on the break on 2 different occasions. Christian Mosquera was caught out of position. Now, the way it happened was Julian Timber was oftentimes, going in front, he was inverting into midfield because he played the more inverting role as opposed to Ricardo Carafiori playing it, and that created a huge gap between uh, between the Arsenal offense and their defense, because whenever he went into that inverting role and then also pushing further forward, it left so much space behind Bukayo Saka and in front of Christian Mosquera, because then you did not have one of the midfielders, either Martin Zubimendi or Declan Rice, are pushing to cover that space. So every time Newcastle went through that space, they easily got to Christian Mosquera, and on two occasions they beat him for pace. So he sort of struggled through the first half, and in the second half, Mikel Arteta made his changes. And then also during the course of the game, particularly in the second half, Mikel Arteta makes two changes, which I found, odd. Excuse me, which I found, okay, they did appear odd at the time when they were being made. For example, he did introduce Gabriel Martinelli and Mikel Merino. Those are the players he introduced around the 70th minute mark. Pedri, back on the top. Sorry, back to the top. We go Visca Barcelona. Yes. Pedri is speaking to the fact that Barcelona are back to are now at the top of the La Liga standings following their 2-1 victory over Real Sociedad. I think the winning goal are coming from Robert Lewandowski, while Jules Koundé was the other goal scorer. Excuse me, but we'll get to discuss that in a bit. Let's first wrap up the things that did transpire from the Premier League. So what I found on those substitutions was the withdrawal of Bukayo Saka. Now, given that we know he's just returned from that hamstring injury, Arsenal trying to be cautious. They're really, really trying to manage his minutes and everything in that regard. So, hi Pedri, I hope you're doing well. We did miss you yesterday. I don't know what happened to you, or you slept early, because we did come on a bit late, but nonetheless, we still came and had a very good chat with LFC among a couple of other faces. So, so once he made the changes, I was thinking to myself, oh really? Bukayo Saka being withdrawn off, yet you're looking for excuse me, you're looking to sort of have a positive impact on this game with Leandro Trossard. I think the other player being withdrawn. So, but anyways, it all eventually worked out, because all the goals Arsenal, squad had a hand in them, their substitutes. So, for example, the first goal again, Arsenal started short corner, Declan Rice floats in the ball, and bang, Mikel Merino rises to the occasion, scores a header. The goalkeeper, Nick Pope, was persuaded to believe that ball was going on the outside, and he sort of, relaxed. And alas, it sort of sneaked in at the back. Do you think Saka will play 90 minutes? I feel like he won't play much because of Madueke, Trossard, Martinelli, Eze, Nwaneri, all able to play there. Well, like I said, they have to manage his game time in terms of minutes. He did suffer a hamstring injury last season. This season, he suffered a similar injury, although it was more on a short-term basis as compared to the one of last season. So it's really, really understandable that they keep making those changes. In the work of Noni Madueke, he also suffered a knee injury. Arsenal have been very unlucky with injuries already so far this season. So he's expected to be out for a period of about 2 months or so with that knee injury for Noni Madueke. So that puts him out of the options. But nonetheless, you do make a valid point that they have all those options in Gabriel Martinelli, Ebeleche Eze, Ethan Nwaneri, Max Doman, who we saw come off the bench in that 2-0 victory against Port Vale in the EFL Cup and things like that. So they have the options, and I think Mikel Arteta will be using them. He will be looking onto them either to change games or to manage games and things like that. Although sometimes you get to feel that he makes his substitutions a little way late than he should be making them. Particularly, for example, you go back to that game against Manchester City, he realized the mistakes, what had happened in the first half. He made two quick changes. Of course, Noni Madueke was going off injured. Bukayo Saka came on, and then he would do Mikel Merino for Eberechi Eze, and the game sort of, had some brighter moments in the second half. But after that, the subsequent, additions to the game came a bit late. And that is no different from what we did witness today. So, for example, after making that William Saliba change, his next changes come because the William Saliba change is at halftime. After making that change, the next changes come in the 70th minute, and then later on in the 82nd minute when Martin Odegaard comes on for Martin Zubimendi, and then in the 8th minute, Mars Lewis Kelly comes on. So in that sort of sense sometimes. But nonetheless, they were, like I said, they were all impactful changes. There was a very, very sumptuous through ball that Martin Odegaard played for Mars Lewis Kelly, although he was unable to score from that because I think Newcastle defended well or the goalkeeper saved it. But you could see, Gabriel Martinelli on the other side of the goal, literally cringing for hoping that that ball had come through for him. And then it was Martin Odegaard that floated in that ball for the corner in the 6th minute of added time for Gabriel Magalhaes to score, to win it by 2-1 for Arsenal. Now, Arsenal were deserved winners. Newcastle will be disappointed in themselves, given that they conceded in a similar manner like they did against Liverpool, really, really late in the game, when they have at least a point to secure. Now, when they concede the equalizer in the 84th minute to Mikel Merino, they tried to push forward for it, and yes, they had their moments, including that handball for Gabriel Magalhaes, which, in my opinion, based on the angles I've seen, was not should not be given as a penalty on any given day against any opponent, because first of all, as Anthony Elanga attempts to cross that ball, it does, make contact with Gabriel Magalhaes' body, who is attempting to make a block before it goes to meet his arm. So, meaning it's not a deliberate handball, or it's not an obvious, or how do they put it? It's not a deliberate touch of the ball. It's not. It does not handle the ball with intent to change its course of direction and things like that. So yeah, that's how I want to look at it. And then Arsenal had their own penalty shoutout. Now, it wasn't just a penalty shoutout. The referee gave it. I think he's called what? Richard Gillett or something? Sorry, Gerard Gillett. Yes, the referee. Now, he gave the penalty. That foul on Victor Gyökeres by Nick Pope. Now, for me, first of all, the referee in awarding that penalty, is it a clear and obvious error? I do not think so. So that means VAR ought not to intervene in the incident. So penalty should be taken. Two, the argument that Nick Pope gets a touch on the ball, whereas that is valid, he still fouls the player because getting a touch on that ball, Victor Gyökeres was looking to go around him and possibly score in an empty net. So he's denied a goal scoring opportunity. I mean, would Chelsea fans look at that and say, didn't we get a red card against Manchester United for something similar? So for me, the argument there was not valid. So I wasn't of the view that he'd be given a red card, not whatsoever, but that penalty should have stood. That penalty should have stood. If you're looking for consistency in the game, you cannot give it on another day and not give it on another day. Then the other thing is VAR intervening when they shouldn't have. And yet, there were other moments in the game when they wanted them to intervene, almost being called upon to intervene, and they did not. So, yeah, I found that a bit odd. But again, Arsenal are no strangers to not getting things their way. I did feel in the first half that oftentimes they wanted There are so many things that went against them in terms of, simple fouls here and there, for which should be free kicks, but the referee was never giving them. And Arsenal kept crying out for them. They kept on shrugging their arms. And I'm like, guys, this is not the first time this is happening. You've come here before, you've been treated in a similar manner before. Get to learn that this is the kind of environment in which you play against. Play the whistle. Do not play hoping that, oh, I'm going to hit the floor and then suddenly the whistle is going to come. It doesn't always come. You must play knowing that. So pick yourself up. Yes, I reserve your comments when the ball goes out of play, for the referee, and then go have your say, particularly Bukayo Saka's captain, and that kind of thing. So I do not know how many times Leandro Trossard got in the face of the referee, Gillett, trying to make a point, or that there had been a foul, or possibly a handball, and things like that. Now, so like I said, so many fouls were committed against Arsenal, and they did not get to be, cautioned. The only players that got yellow cards was Dunban and Jolinton. And the reason as to why Jolinton got a yellow card was for attempting to delay a restart when he knocks that ball away when Arsenal win a free kick. Then there was a moment by Jamal Lascelles. He grabbed Victor Yokeres's face before shoving him to the floor. And I'm thinking to myself, how is that not a foul? Then while Newcastle had the penalty shoutout there on the other side, Arsenal earlier on had theirs equally. They had the penalty shout for themselves during one of the set piece plays. I do not remember whether it was by Dunban or somebody else, but there was a penalty shout out. It never got looked at by the VAR. Maybe they looked at it and decided there was nothing for the on-field referee to go and check on his monitor. But so many things did not go Arsenal's way today, So I've seen somebody in Newcastle fans looking back on that moment when Gabriel Magalhaes goes and shoves his arms into Nick Wolf-Mada. And I think if you're Mikel Arteta, you're going to show Gabriel Magalhaes that clip and tell him, you can never do this again. You can't do this again. Because on any given day, if the referee stops the game and gives you a straight red card. Reason why? It's an unsporting character. It's an off-the-ball kind of incident. But also in retaliation, Nick Wolf-Mada pulls his pants. He pulls his shorts, So he went and appealed to the referee. Of course, the referee knew that within that moment, Arsenal was still sort of feeling hard done by for the goal they had just conceded, because they had claimed a push on Gabriel Magalhaes. While yes, there was a push, was it sufficient to be called as a foul to have that goal cancelled? I wasn't convinced so. But my question was, if the roles had been reversed, that Gabriel Magalhaes had committed that kind of push on Nick Wolf-Mada, would it have been awarded as a penalty? Of course, we will never know. We will never know. But we cannot fail to make that assumption or give you that other side of the story. So, but yeah, so many things did not go in Arsenal's favor in terms of fouls called. Yes, there were a couple of maybe one or two incidents that were not called in Newcastle's favor as well. But yeah, it was a bit of a fast game, very, very physical game, as one would expect it. But for me, I think the referee could have handled the game much, much better. First of all, today I was learning that Gerard Gillett has been involved in 4 of Arsenal's 6 games this season, either as a center referee, a 4th official, or a VAR official. And I'm thinking, how is that possible? How is that possible that a single referee gets involved in one team's games as often as that? That's odd. Now, I've had certain rumors. I do not know to what effect of truth or whether they do hold any water. And I do not say this because I believe them, but I just want to put it out there. There's some speculation that Gerard Gillett is a non-Liverpool fan. Now, I do not know that to be the case. Like I said, it's just a rumor. I do not know whether Arsenal fans have put it out there because he wasn't giving them the decisions. But or whether particularly uh, Gerard Gillett is from Liverpool as a town or a city, that I do not know. But I mean, 4 games in charge of Arsenal, that's odd. That's odd, really. So, but anyways, for those of you that were part of last night's broadcast, following the results that we had witnessed, with Liverpool losing to Crystal Palace by 2 goals to 1, Manchester United losing to Brentford by 3 goals to 1, Manchester City winning 5-1 against Burnley, then Chelsea losing to Brighton and Hove Albion by 3 goals to 1. I did say that Arsenal, that this was a must-win game for Arsenal. While it wouldn't have broken their season if they hadn't won, it meant a lot that they win. One, they needed not lose. A draw was never going to be a good result enough, was never going to be good enough. They needed to win. And I think they just did that. They grinded it out and walked away with 3 points, deservedly so, because they were really, really dominant in their performances today. They were very, very dominant with that performance. So, anyways, all that aside, I think it's a game. If you're neutral, it's a game you enjoyed. There were so many good moments. There were so many questionable moments, and things like that. I was just reading a certain fact about Manchester United from ESPN that Sunderland now have 11 points, while Manchester United have managed to collect only 12 points since the start of April, while Sunderland only came to the Premier League in August. Manchester United's situation is something we'll digest further, perhaps during the course of the week. But will we even have time to digest it further? Because maybe we'll have an occasion to digest it. Maybe we will have a moment to digest it, because while they're not going to be in action against, while they're not going to be in action against, during the course of the week, Arsenal have a game to play against, they have a game to play against Olympiacos in the UEFA Champions League before meeting West Ham United over the weekend, who are under now the charges of Nuno Espirito Santo. So yeah, we will be, looking forward to that action. But I think we should find a moment to sort of speak about Manchester United a little further during the during the course of the week, because they are a big club. What is going on there is something that we constantly speak about in regards to what needs to be done. And I feel the manager is being a little too stubborn in picking a few things here and there that could work to his advantage, in terms of trying to get results. But he's not done them, and it is what it is. It is what it is. We won't sort of stress that any further. Anyways, still remaining in the Premier. Oh, my man of the match. Who was my man of the match? I thought Declan Rice had a very, very good performance, especially in the second half. He tried to lead the example with the example. So he asked for that ball. Gabriel Magalhaes, I thought he was solid in that defense. William Saliba had sort of an Alice cameo scare when he hit the floor before Nick Walcott sort of kicked that ball and it went wide, or was it wide or over the bar, something like that, and win. So I was thinking to myself, like, maybe, Victor Gyökeres, he did well, in my opinion. It wasn't enough because he didn't score, but I thought he did well. His hold-up play, his sort of engagement in the physical bit of the game, his runs were good, and things like that. But we know still Arsenal's challenge is releasing him early enough so that he can have that better impact on the ball. You feel that is sort of still missing. That is still missing. Jesus Christ. What kind of goal did Andre Onana concede? Anyways, so my man of the match, I mean, I think I would go with Declan Rice. I think I would go with Declan Rice. I thought he was really, really good. I thought he did good, especially in the second half. I thought he did good, especially in the second half. I thought he did good. I thought he did good. And again, the celebrations of the Arsenal technical bench, the players, I mean, late winners are always sweet. If you are the one scoring them, they're always bad if you're not if they're scoring them against you. Anyways, let's leave that at that. Let's leave that at that. Still in the Premier League, like I was saying, Aston Villa managed to sort of rise from the doldrums and beat up against Fulham by 3-1. Those two of those goals came in quick succession in the second half. In the second half, after Fulham had taken the lead through Raul Jimenez in the 3rd minute, Oli Watkins was the goal scorer for that equalizer, looping that ball beyond the reach of the goalkeeper. And then John McGinn scored in the 49th minute, and in the 51st minute, Emi Buendia scored to make it 3-1. Now, as soon as he scored, Raul Jimenez suffered, some form of injury that forced him off, and they brought on Adama Traore at a time when they were already without Rodrigo Muniz, and so it was a bit of an odd one. Fulham were a bit hard done by their injuries for their forward players, which really, really did not help. Then Harry Wilson had a sort of a near miss that could have perhaps changed their fortunes in the game. Sasa Lukic was good in that game. Morgan Rogers, you thought in some moments was a little too selfish, but yeah. But they did start with the usual back four: Martinez, Mings, Konsa, Cash, Dinya, Bogade, McGinn, Elliott, Wesand, Rogers, and Oli Watkins. A team that on any given day should be enough to win you the game. But they do struggle with some injuries here and there. For example, Adama Traore is one of those. Sorry, not Adama Traore, but Amadou Onana. Yes, Amadou Onana. And so yeah. Excuse me. But that's for the side of Aston Villa. Anyways, it will come as a great form of relief for Aston Villa as they continue to climb out of the bottom half of the table because they came into match day 6 when they were 18th on the Premier League clock, but that victory elevated them to 16th place, just behind Newcastle and the likes of Manchester United, who find themselves in 14th place, with Brentford, who beat up against Manchester United ahead of Manchester United on a better goal difference, also with 7 points, as well as Everton 7 points. Everton play tomorrow against West Ham United, a game in my prediction, which I think Everton will win. But we'll wait to see how everything will transpire in that regard. So yeah, those are the results from the Premier League this weekend so far, or on Super Sunday. Quickly, let's dash to the Spanish La Liga and and see. Like I said, in the Spanish La Liga, Sevilla beat up against Vallecano by 1-0, while Elche were 2-1 winners against Celta Vigo. Barcelona, thanks to Jules Koundé and Robert Lewandowski, they managed to beat up against Sociedad by 2-1. Sociedad continue with their poor start to the season. Real Betis beat up against Osasuna by 2-0 to complete that. In the German Bundesliga, Hoffenheim and Freiburg shared the spoils in a 1-1 draw, while Hamburger was forced in a goalless draw against Union Berlin, but Hamburger finished with a manless after on loan Arsenal midfielder, that's Fabio Vieira, was given a straight red card for a high boot in that game. Straight card beat up against Cologne by 2-1, and then quickly, sorry, quickly in the oh, Jesus Christ. Quickly, no, those are not the results I'm looking for. Quickly in the Italian Serie A, Napoli have been beaten. They've lost for the first time in the season. They've lost to AC Milan by 2-1 at San Siro in the just concluded game. The goals for AC Milan were scored by makers, as well as with Christian Pulisic providing the assist, while Christian Pulisic scored the other one with Fofana providing the assist for that. AC Milan finished the game with a manless following the red card to Pavis Estupinan. Then, unfortunately, this is a bit late, but Terry Lamptey suffered an anterior cruciate ligament injury that's at Fiorentina. Kevin De Bruyne scored a 60th minute penalty, which turned out to be a near consolation for Napoli. The result means that AC Milan leapfrog Napoli and go to the summit of the Italian Serie A standings after 5 games played. They do have 12 points, as well as the second place Napoli, as well as the third place AC Roma, who are under the charges of Stefano Pioli. Then in fourth place is Juventus with 11 points, while Inter Milan complete the top 5 with 9 points, as well as Atlanta in 6th place, as much as Cremonese in 7th place. Como of Cesc Fabregas 8th on the Italian Serie A standings after 2 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss. So those are some of the results. The bottom sides are Lecce 2 points, Pisa 2 points, Parma 2 points, Genoa 2 points, Hellas Verona 3 points, Fiorentina in 15th place with 3 points, Lazio with 3 points. So things are not going well on for Lazio. Anyways, so yeah, that's what's up from that side. In the French League One, Nice Nice and Paris shared the spoils in a 1-1 draw, while Brest beat up against Angers by 2-0. Olympique Lyon beat up against Lille by 1-0, while Metis and Le Havre shared the spoils in a goalless draw, as much as Stade Rennes and RC Lens from that side. Then on Monday Night Football, like I said, expect a game between Everton and West Ham United, while in the Spanish La Liga, Valencia will be up against Real Oviedo. Remember, Real Oviedo played on Thursday against Barcelona, so yeah. While Parma in the Italian Serie A will be up against Torino. Genoa will take on Lazio there, so do not miss out on those games as well. In terms of what will be coming your way in the course of the week. But like I said, during the course of the week, on Tuesday, we will have the UEFA Champions League, as well as on Wednesday, those games will be coming. On Tuesday, Atlanta will be up against Braga. Will be up against Braga. Kairati Almaty will be up against Real Madrid. Atletico de Madrid will play at home against Eintracht Frankfurt. Bordeaux Glimont will entertain Tottenham Hotspurs. Remember, I think Bordeaux Glimont and Tottenham met last season in the semi-finals of the UEFA Europe. Was it Tottenham? No, they met Eintracht Frankfurt. Was it Bordeaux Glimont that they met on course to the final? Maybe. Then Chelsea will be up against Benfica. This is going to be Jose Mourinho returning to Stamford Bridge. Then Galatasaray will entertain Liverpool. Inter Milan will be up against Slavia Praha, while Olympique Marseille will take on Ajax, and then Pafos will entertain Bayern Munich. I mean, pray for Pafos. they may ship in as many as 10 goals because Bayern Munich are just scoring too many goals. And then on Wednesday, Karabakh will take on Copenhagen. Karabakh, remember, are the ones that caused the sacking of Bruno Lage at Benfica, who has since been replaced by Jose Mourinho. Then Union Saint Gilloise will be up against Newcastle United. Then that's on Wednesday. SC Monaco will take on Manchester City. Arsenal will be at home against Olympiacos. Barcelona PSG. That's a another game to look forward to. While Bayer Leverkusen will be up against PSV Eindhoven. Borussia Dortmund will take on Athletic Club or Athletic Bilbao, while Napoli will take on Sporting CP, and then Villarreal will be up against Juventus in those games. Then on Thursday, we will have the UEFA Europa League as well as the UEFA Conference League for your teams that are in those competitions. So do not miss out on all that action. And then after that, we'll go into the weekend, and after the weekend, we'll go into the October international break. So be sure that that one is equally coming your way very, very soon. Guys, quickly, I didn't bring you up to speed in regards to what the La Liga standings look like, but like I told you, Barcelona are leading the standings with just a point ahead of Real Madrid, 19 points out of a possible 21. That means out of 7 games played, 6 wins, only 1 draw. Real Madrid, 18 points, 7 games played, 6-1, 1 loss. Villarreal come in 3rd place with 16 points, while Elche come in 4th place with 13 points. Atletico de Madrid complete the top 5 with 12 points, just as many as the 6th place Betis and 7th place Espanyol. Atletico de Madrid have 3 wins, 3 draws, and 1 loss. 14 goals scored, 9 conceded. I do not know why they are conceding for fun. Yet Barcelona have outscored everyone. They've scored 21 goals and conceded only 5. So they have a goal difference of 16. Real Madrid have scored 16 and have conceded 50% of that. So, that tells you. In terms of the bottom standings, Girona still bottom, Real Oviedo, and next all have 3 points. Real Mallorca 5 points. That's in 18th place. Like I said, Real Sociedad have had a poor start to the season, only 1 victory, 2 draws, and 4 losses. I remember they had a managerial change, so they are struggling through that. But we'll wait and see how things will go in that regard. Anyways, guys, it's already midnight, 8 minutes past the hour of midnight. Allow me wish you a wonderful new week ahead, a blessed new week, a blessed Monday. If my health does not deteriorate beyond what it is already, we will do a morning broadcast tomorrow. So yeah, we'll meet again tomorrow. Thank you so much, Pedri, for being part of this podcast, and every single one of you that has managed to chip in for today. I do not take your time for granted. Your love and support. It's been a pleasure doing this with you. Let's do it again tomorrow. Have yourselves a blessed night. Bye bye for now.